Hello gamers from around the world, this is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to today's episode of the World of Gaming. And Dutch, my man, we are back after we had to take an unfortunate break last week. But I'm excited to be back here today. I see already a lot of familiar names in the chat, so a big welcome to our community here today. Big welcome to the listeners who do listen after the fact, either here on YouTube or on Spotify, Apple Podcast. Wherever you are listening, a big welcome. And Dutch, my man, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yes. Just work as usual. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Nothing fun.
Good stuff. We all need to work. It's been a long work days for me as well over the last couple of days. So, but I'm excited here today to be here today with you and this awesome community. We have some very interesting stuff to talk about this week. But before we do that, again, a big welcome to everyone in the chat. Quick reminder at the beginning, if you do enjoy the show, don't forget to hit the like button. Dutch, I've been told we are not reminding everyone often enough to do so. So if you do enjoy the content, we would appreciate a thumbs up. If you're new, of course, consider subscribing. And if you do listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we'd appreciate a 5-star rating there too. But with that out of the way, Dutch, let's talk about something interesting. Games.
Yes, let's.
Games. Let's talk about games. What have you been playing lately? Let us know in the chat. And Dutch, what kept you busy, man?
I haven't really been playing too much recently. But when I have had a chance, it's been Hogwarts Legacy again. And Pokemon, as usual.
Yeah, as usual, of course.
What else? I'm sure I played something else recently as well.
Have you played Final Fantasy on Xbox?
Not the new one. No, I actually went back the other week, and there was a game that I still needed to finish off, and that was Final Fantasy Crisis Core Reunion. I still haven't finished it, so I went back and I played another chapter of that. So I'm just chipping away at that before I start Final Fantasy Remake on Xbox.
Okay.
So yes, I have played some Final Fantasy, but not the one you're thinking.
Yeah, gotcha. Sweet. Pyro in the chat says, let's beat Boxy to the punch. What's everyone been playing recently? Yeah. He has been playing Yakuza 0, the director's cut, and he's 86 hours already in there. And Digimon Storytime Stranger. Oh, sweet. I haven't seen anyone play that in my friends list so far. Sweet. I've been playing a shitload of Final Fantasy. I'm almost done. I'm in chapter 15, I think. It is chapter 15. Pretty much close to the end now. Still loving that game. I've played it back in when did it came out? 2020, when it originally came out, right? Played it on PlayStation then, loved it then. And now I've been playing it again, and I'm still having a blast with that game. It is just such the characters, the world. I really do enjoy the combat with the ATB system. That is so well done. It looks and runs fantastic on the console, but I've also played it a lot on the Rock Ally X, Xbox Rock Ally X. It runs really, really well as there too. And it's just a blast going back and forth in between the big screen and the portable experience. So, yeah, man, I'm having a blast with that game. The music, man, is fantastic. Didn't remember how good the music is actually in that game. But I'm really thoroughly enjoying that again. And I see a lot of people in the chat have been playing that as well. Sith Lord has been playing it. H. Julia has been playing it. Very good. Good stuff there. And Dutch, there is a free update on for Ball X Pit is out.
Oh, is there?
Adding new levels, new enemies, new characters to play. Damn, just such a good and addictive game. Absolutely fantastic. And it's free for everyone. It's quite a good content drop, honestly. Better than a lot of the AAA games that do drop content after release, honestly. And it's completely free. Fantastic, so addictive. So I've been playing that as well. Paul AFC in the chat says, evening all, Metal Gear Solid Delta and the Final Fantasy VII Remake has kept him busy. Sweet.
Nice.
And I see a lot of love for Final Fantasy in the chat. That is fantastic, man. Fantastic.
It's about time.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And let's use it as a segue, because we actually got some Final Fantasy news this today. There was the Nintendo Switch. What was it called? Third-party showcase or something. Yeah,
partner direct.
Partner direct. And they announced on there Final Fantasy Rebirth coming to the Switch 2 on June 3rd. They've shown footage, looks and runs apparently also really well on the Switch 2. And just about an hour before we started this podcast, Dutch, Square Enix officially confirmed that this is also, of course, the release date for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, second part of the remake trilogy for Xbox. So June 3rd, it's coming to Switch 2 and Xbox. What are your thoughts, dude?
I mean, significantly quicker than I think a lot of people expected. But
Absolutely.
That's because it took so bloody long to get the first one over. This gives me confidence that Part 3 will either be day and date everywhere.
I mean, that's that's basically the rumor. There have been leaks this week saying exactly that. That it is.
And that would be awesome. And I think Square Enix would like that as well, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, it totally makes sense. PlayStation has apparently dropped the exclusivity, and then the third part is totally day one, right?
Yeah.
They've also confirmed, like Pyro says in the chat, play anywhere as well for Rebirth, which is fantastic to hear. Because actually that was the reason why I bought it again on Xbox, right? So I can play it as well on the Rock Alley, go back and forth. And Rebirth will have that too. So, oh, pardon me. That's fantastic stuff, man. Paul AFC sends in a channel member chat for being a channel member for 56 months, man. Thank you so much for the continued support. And he says, Rebirth day one for me. For me as well. And I'm hooked again. And I think it's a great idea to not take another year or two and to bring the second part of the game. And like you said, it just makes sense. Remake part 1 out in January. Remake part 2 out 5 months later. That is really, really good stuff there. And Dutch, we also got some official infos on the third game, right? The this week. The Final Fantasy VII Remake director, can't pronounce his name, so I'm not even trying to. Something like Hamagahu Chiao or something like that. Sorry. He explained a little bit about this because it's heavily rumored to come out next year, right? The third part, which kind of makes sense, like 3-year cadence for those games in between. And they will run that game still on Unreal Engine 4. And he said, explained why. He said, we've been using Unreal Engine 4, not 5, right? But we've made a lot of modifications to fit our needs. It's more beneficial to have something we are already familiar with and have customized to fit our needs. So basically, he explained in an interview, well, they have created all the assets, the character models, and everything already, and it would just take so much time to transform it over to Unreal 5, so that they decided to just stick with Unreal 4 for the third game as well. And yeah, all things point towards 2027 for part 3. Any thoughts, man?
I'm happy because that means, of course, those who, especially on Xbox, those who haven't played Final Fantasy Remake and Final Fantasy Rebirth can play it both this year, and then next year they can play the next one with everybody else. So, yeah, I mean, obviously fantastic. I absolutely love Final Fantasy myself, as you know, massive Final Fantasy fan. I've thankfully already played Rebirth and Remake. Obviously, I'll be playing them again. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, it is obviously, we want to wrap up the trilogy now and get the final one done. So yeah, it is great news. We're eventually getting it. Thank God.
Yeah, agreed. Sith Lord sends in a channel member chat for being a channel member 42 months now. Also, thank you so much for the continued support. And he says he already pre-ordered Rebirth and upgraded to the deluxe version.
Nice.
Sweet. Yeah, I've heard, can't really confirm. I've just read that earlier somewhere, that apparently it's on sale this week already.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's got
like a pre-order sale or something.
Yeah,
I might just pre-order it then as well. But yeah, man, I do agree. It's been, honestly, when I played Rebirth, when it came out, it was too long since I played the remake. Yeah. Obviously, I could have just replayed the remake again and then played Rebirth, but who has time for that, right? And then it was a little too long because you forgot just a lot of stuff that happened, right? And it's been way too long for me to remember the proper plot of 7, the original, that game I last played, I don't know, 20 years ago or so. I think it's good. Now, basically, every half year or so, we are getting a new Final Fantasy. Because I definitely think they've released the others also early in the year. And it's probably going to be an early 27 game then, if it comes out next year. Yeah. So, yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm also excited for the Switch owners. It's apparently also doing really well sales-wise on the Switch too, right? So yeah, man, good stuff here with Final Fantasy. And our community has also voted today to watch Final Fantasy Remake. So let me just put on some gameplay there for everyone to enjoy from the remake recorded on Xbox. Just a great game, man. So having so much fun. All right. What else happened at the Direct today. Bethesda was on there, right? And they've announced actually a lot of games coming to the Switch 2 this year. Yeah, Fallout 4, the Anniversary Edition, is coming in February 24th. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is coming on May 12th. And also this year, no specific date though, the Oblivion remaster is also coming to the Switch too. So a lot of Bethesda games heading for the Switch, man.
Yeah, and again, I think the Switch 2's new power, which is the power of maybe just over an Xbox One X, is definitely helping it.
Yeah.
And you can tell. I mean, I've downloaded. I haven't bought Final Fantasy on there, but I downloaded the demo because there's a demo for Final Fantasy on there, and I've played it, and it runs well. And they even update it and patch it and things like that. So if there is any performance issues, they are patching the demo to make sure it works better. But no, it looks great, runs great. A lot of these games will on the Switch, in all fairness. So, no, it's good. I think they'll. It's obviously, I think as time goes on, this is going to be supported significantly more than the Switch 1 from third parties. This comes the same week as well, and I don't know whether or not you've seen that news bite, but Switch 2 is now the original Switch is now Nintendo's biggest selling console.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
155 million units sold.
Crazy! It outsold the
DS. It's second now only to the PlayStation 2, which sold 160.
Crazy, man. Yeah,
and of course the Switch 1's still on the market. So
yeah, it is.
There's always, and you know, especially in some of the lower countries, they always continue to sell dribs and drabs. So there's a possibility over the next couple of years that could end up being the most successful console in history.
Yeah, could definitely be, man. And that without it having proper third-party support, right? And I agree. I mean, we're already seeing that on the Switch too, right? A lot more third-party games coming over to that system, which is great. And I just think it was, or it must have been the power limitations that the original Switch proposed, right? But now, in this day and age, games are designed in a way that they are scalable anyway. Yeah, just look at PC and the minimum specs there of third-party games, right? A lot of the latest third-party games still can be run at a 1070, 1080, somewhere in that ballpark. Usually the minimum specs are. So games are built to scale across different devices anyway. And with the Switch 2 having now... I don't want to say, well, modern specs, but fairly or good enough specs, right? We've seen definitely better third-party support on there. We're still not there that every game comes to it day one. Oftentimes, Switch releases come 6 months or whatnot later. But it's definitely better on the Switch too, the support, right?
Oh, absolutely. Significantly better. I mean, if you have a look at the marketplace now, a lot of the coming soons are all bigger third-party games, and a lot of them are coming day and date. So it's clearly helped them a lot when it comes to third-party, and they must be working so hard trying to get more third-party on board as well. So,
which is great, man, because obviously
working for them.
Yeah, because obviously the Switch has a huge install base, right? And it is, we've seen it over the last couple of years that the industry is struggling to find growth, and leaving such a huge player base out of the possible customer base, right? Just isn't really helping the industry with how expensive modern AAA gaming has become to develop, right? And so having that install base now available and being able to sell third-party games towards that huge, gigantic install base of the Switch users is just good, man. It's good for gamers, good for the industry. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, nothing really stood out to me at the Nintendo Direct. I don't know. Did anything else catch your eye?
No. It's again a lot of the third-party announcements and things like that are games that are coming to every platform.
Yeah.
It's just great to see that they are getting that support, and they are getting the third parties going on there pretty much day and date. And of course, you got the Pragmata announcement and Pragmata demo, which is released on everything today. So you can go try Pragmata if you want.
Yeah. The Neo 3 demo is out, by the way. I've downloaded it, but I haven't played it yet. Apparently, the game is good, man. I've heard good things, man. But yeah, the Nintendo Direct, definitely the biggest announcement for me, Final Fantasy thing. Very good news for the Bethesda games, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those are all great games, right? Indiana Jones is a fantastic game. The Oblivion remaster was great. And what was the third one? Fallout, obviously, always good, right?
Yeah.
Although it starts to show its age, right? Have you watched season 2, by the way, Fallout?
I have not. Is it already out? I didn't even realize it was already out.
The finale came out yesterday.
No, I haven't. Have you watched it?
I've watched it. I just didn't watch the finale yet. That's the last episode. That's the one I have to watch. That came out yesterday. Didn't find the time yet. Probably gonna watch that after the podcast, man.
Nice.
Still so good. Great TV adaptation, man. Love it. It's just sad that they don't have anything Fallout related ready, right? Like a remake or something.
You would think they would, but something you can't always win, I suppose.
I don't think that they've seen with season 1 that the series is so successful and puts Fallout, the Fallout IP in everyone's mind, and also speaks to casuals and everything. And I think they were just gonna surprise about the success. And then, well, you can't just magically pull something out of the hat, right? I mean, the remake is now apparently in full production, but obviously that's gonna take a while until it comes out. Maybe when season 3 starts, right? All right. Where were we? The Nintendo Direct. Let's talk about other showcases, man. We have some infos there. Blizzard announced basically 4 showcases already that will air over the next, now 1.5 weeks. They've announced a showcase for World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Hearthstone, and Diablo. And Diablo is the last one, apparently the big one. They have apparently something big to announce for Diablo, and that's basically part of their anniversary celebration, those 4 showcases, man. Since I'm not a big World of Warcraft guy or Overwatch, let alone Hearthstone, Diablo is the one I'm looking forward to. And a lot of people have been teasing great stuff there. It's Activision Blizzard's 40th anniversary this year, right? And with that, they want to celebrate something. So what do you expect, man, for Diablo? Any hopes?
Unless they've got a teaser for Diablo 5.
Nah, that's way too early, man. Way too early.
You never know.
Nah. We are not getting a Diablo 5 before 34.
You reckon before 34?
Yeah.
Dear God.
Dude, Diablo, in between Diablo 3 and Diablo 4, we had, I want to say 11 or 12 years. I mean, really quickly, when did Diablo 3 came out? Diablo 3 launched on the 360, man. It came out in 2012, and Diablo 4 was 23. So 11 years, man. 11 years in between 3 and 4. So add another 11 years to that, and you end up in 34. Diablo is like every decade or so a game.
I mean, they're going to have to do something. If it's anything other than announcing a new game or an expansion, then there's nothing.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was wondering what they could announce or will announce, because they've already announced the big add-on, the Lords of Hatred DLC, which I already pre-ordered, so I can play the Paladin, the new class, already in this season, which I loved, by the way. Super fun character. So, yeah, they've shown Lords of Hatred already. They've introduced the new characters, the new classes, I mean. And so I was wondering, what could they actually show? Because, well, just announce Season 12 is really not a big deal, right? For such a big anniversary celebration. And a lot of people... Tom Warren, Jess Corden, and so on. They've all, Tom Henderson, they've all teased something big coming for that showcase, and I wonder what it's gonna be, man.
Has to be. It has to be a new game, surely.
That's what I've been thinking. Maybe it's a remake or something of Diablo 1, maybe.
Diablo 1, I can't even remember, was Diablo 1 even that popular?
Not really. Well, I mean, it started the whole genre, basically, right?
It did.
And obviously the big hit was Diablo 2 back in the days, which then just took it to the next level with online play and everything, right? But... they've already done a remake for that, right? And so, yeah, man, I'm really curious to see, because I've been playing the Season 11, which is running right now, quite extensively over the last couple of weeks. Really, they've improved so much in Diablo 4. From the way how smithing and upgrading your loot goes to... plenty of activity there. I mean, the end game still comes to at a certain point to kind of an end. They've increased the Paladin level now to 300, which is good, so you can grind longer. But somewhere after 200, you usually hit kind of a wall. So it's not the best end game out there. I still think Path of Exile 2, for instance, does the end game a lot better than Diablo does it. But it's still definitely a great action RPG, more casual than a game like Path of Exile, right? But just really good, man. And the classes they've added so far are all really fun. The Paladin now is fantastic to play. Can do great builds there. I'm really definitely still enjoying Diablo 4, man. So yeah, let's see. We will find out very soon, man. But yeah, other than that, we also have the heavy rumor from a lot of different insiders leaked over the last couple of days that Sony is apparently going to have a state of play this month in February. It's rumored to be next week, actually. What do you think? Are they going to do a state of play early this year? And if
I mean, it'd be interesting if they did. They would need to send. I mean, they have Wolverine, isn't it? It's meant to be this year.
Yeah, they've said holiday this year.
I think they need to send it to kind of talk about it. And especially show it off.
I mean, we got the one trailer with kind of gameplay snippets there. But if it's... I mean, listen, I also think the last State of Play was really not that well received. And it was shortly after the summer break, right? And it's been a while, so they could definitely use a State of Play. They have also Saros coming and Marathon coming. Granted, Marathon, multi-platform game, but nevertheless, they are a publisher, right? So it would make sense for them to have one now in February, whether it's next week or the week after, but fairly soon. But I doubt that they would show off Wolverine just yet. They would do probably another State of Decay. Why do I keep saying State of Decay, man? State of
You just really hope it's State of Decay.
Yeah, man. I take that over State of Play, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wolverine, I would expect them, because usually they do like 2, sometimes 3 of those State of Plays a year, right? And I'd say they show off Wolverine later this year when it's closer to launch, because there's really no need for them to build up hype around Wolverine just yet and then release it in November or so, right? Yeah. But with Saros coming fairly soon, when was Saros coming? That was pretty early this year, in April coming, right? And Marathon coming in March, right? That would definitely make sense for them to do a State of Play, then a couple of third-party games in there, show off Marathon, show off Saros. Let's see if the rumors are or turn out to be true, but it definitely makes sense. Marathon kind of is getting much better vibes now over the last couple of weeks. After its original showing, everyone hated it, right? And after the delay and the latest trailer, the people don't seem to talk that negative about it anymore, honestly. It's just my feeling. Which I'm surprised,
I still don't think that'll translate into anything particularly.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. It's gonna be similar to the Highguard situation, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. Let's see if Sony does a State of Play next week. But let's move on from that, man. Let's talk about Xbox. There have been something there really interesting this week on the Xbox side of things, right? And that comes from AMD, actually, not Xbox themselves, but the AMD CEO, Lisa Su. She announced during the company's earnings call something which I'm not sure she should have announced, but she said the following, right? The development of Microsoft's next-gen Xbox featuring an AMD semi-custom SoC is progressing well to support a launch in 2027. And obviously that made the rounds in the community, and I've seen a lot of people talk about this. Basically, Lisa Su confirmed the next-gen Xbox for 27. All right. I mean, we've speculated about that for a long time now. I want to say at least for 2 years we are talking already about the next gen. It is kind of weird. I can't remember a gen where we started that early to talk about next gen. Nevertheless, the original rumors suggested that they might release one super early this year, actually. But that sentiment has shifted more towards 27, and now Lisa Su, out of nowhere, basically confirms that in the investors call. And yeah, man, what are your thoughts before I share my thoughts, dude?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, to investors, they're going to have to divulge what it is that they're investing in and what they're expecting. So, I think it's just because everyone takes, like, in history gone in the past, people wouldn't have even thought about that, looking into things like that. But now, people look at everything with a magnifying glass. So, no, I mean, we were kind of expecting it to be 26, 27 for a release on the next console, and that's the case. We kind of knew Xbox was going to be doing things a little bit earlier because they already kind of thought, listen, Series X and S hasn't really panned out the way we wanted it, and now we're just going to go down an entirely different route.
Yeah.
More of a niche market.
Yeah. Dude, exactly. I mean, this is what the community has been speculating about. 27 was more or less an open secret, right? I still think that we will see the console this year. I thoroughly believe that this year, in the June showcase, we are not getting a developer direct in the typical classic sense. Remember last year they had Outer Worlds, the year before they had Call of Duty, the year before that they had Starfield as a dedicated developer direct after the showcase, and I don't think that they are going to do that this year. They will have such a show after the June showcase, but it's more focused around the 25th anniversary of Xbox, where they will talk a lot about the legacy, the OG Xbox and the 360 and the Xbox One.
Or could that be the developer direct directly after the showcase?
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
That's what you mean.
Okay. Exactly. We are not getting a developer direct. We are getting a anniversary.
But you know what I mean. The replacement for the dev direct.
Exactly, as a replacement. And in there they will announce or tease or show some or say something about this next gen Xbox that is going to hit the stores in 27. That's, I would place a bet on that this is exactly what's going to happen. Nevertheless, AMD spilling the beans here is good. I think the interesting part, of course, will be where this is positioned. But over the last couple of weeks, with the RAM situation around the globe, a lot of people have been speculating that this console might get delayed, pushed out because of that. Similar to what Valve did. We're going to talk about that, the Steam Machine, in a little bit. But I'm glad to hear that it's coming in 27, because as much as I do enjoy the Series X, they didn't do a Pro or mid-gen upgrade this gen, right? And I think for a device that I use that often, right? It's basically my Xbox is a device I use on a daily basis. It just shows its age, right? Technology moves on so quickly. I mean, look at that. We are getting the 50 series. We're having the 50 series on PC already. When it came out, we were talking about 2000, about a 20 series, right? On the Nvidia side of things, yeah. And technology just moves on. Nobody would want to use a smartphone that is 6 years, 7 years, 8 years old, right? And so why would console game be any different, right? And so I'm ready for next gen Xbox, and everything I've heard so far is exactly what I want, right? Apparently it's going to be super powerful. Yeah. But that, of course, it's coming also with a higher price tag. But I'm kind of willing to pay that. Again, it's a device I use on a daily basis for 6, 7, 8 years. I'm willing to pay a little bit more than the $500 that I paid for the Series X when it came out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's a different, like they say, it is a different market, and they're going to position it that way. So
yeah,
people, I think, people who don't think it will be need to brace themselves for the fact that this isn't going to be a console for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, they need to get their head around that right now. If they're thinking of the cost of the handheld that you got, and think of ballpark figure around that at least for this console.
At least. They're moving away from the subsidized consoles.
Exactly.
All right. And that's the first change. But then also, if it turns out to be true what they've promised, that this is really a console that goes in on power full or big time, right? I would expect the console to have better specs than what the Series X had compared to the, technology standard at the time it comes out. When the Xbox Series X came out, a lot of people compared it to its GPU was a lot compared to 2070, right? At the time. Yeah. So that would translate now, when it comes out next year, to a 5070, maybe the 6070. But I think they are going to position it more in the 6080 part, ballpark, right? Obviously, it's not a NVIDIA GPU, but an AMD one. But you know what I mean, like in ballpark of GPU power, right? And when you then also take out the fact that it's subsidized, obviously you need to expect the console to be somewhere in the ballpark of $1,000, if not more. But I mean,
I agree.
They kind of have to move away from the subsidized model if they allow all storefronts on it, right?
Yep, I agree.
And that's what the next Xbox is, right? It's basically a PC. Think ROG Xbox LEX in console shape with better specs. That's what it's going to be. But I'm all up for it. Again, I don't think that they are trying to release that console in 2017, in 2027, and expect to sell the typical numbers of consoles, whatever that is for.
No, I don't think so.
I think they are more thinking like, or starting to think like a Valve, right? Yeah. Where the Steam Deck didn't even sell 10 million units and is considered a massive success. It is. Yeah. The Steam Deck is considered a massive success, right? And it didn't even sell 10 million. If a Switch 2, a PlayStation 6, or an Xbox console, Series console, sold less than 10 million units, it would be considered an absolute failure. And I think that's what the community kind of needs to adjust for. They are not looking with this console to sell millions upon millions upon millions of units. because that's not the business model anymore. If they go full Windows, right, they are what that means is they are basically giving up the Xbox store. And so they kind of have to make money on the console sales. They have to find different ways to monetize. They can't do that through the storefront. That's always the bullshit I'm claiming when people say, well, console sales don't matter. They absolutely do, because with the console, it's not about the hardware, it's about selling the store. You had to buy games through the Xbox store if you want to play a game on that. That's the business model of Nintendo, that's the business model of PlayStation. That's the business model of consoles. Selling people the store, the storefront. And with Microsoft giving up on that, they are totally fine if the console doesn't sell 30, 40, 50 million units. They could be absolutely fine by selling 10 million units and still consider it a success, right? Because it's not about selling the storefront anymore. I still wonder, though, what the business model is for them, right? How does Microsoft make money when people buy games on Steam?
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be very interesting to see. Because
Absolutely.
Unless they cut a deal with Steam and say we get X amount if you get a purchase on here, like not a massive amount.
Yeah.
Would you say, okay, to have your thing on here, you need to give us, even if it's 5% or 10%. If someone buys a game on your marketplace and we get 5 or 10% cut of that.
I'm not sure if Steam would be up for that.
But it would be 5 or 10% of their 30% cut.
Yeah.
So it would only be, 3% of a 30% as max. It's not like a massive cut, really, if you think about it.
I agree there. Then why would Steam agree to that?
To allow their marketplace to be on other platforms, get new people in, because they're still getting 27% if it was a 10% cut.
Yeah.
For being on another platform. So it's still a win for them regardless, because how else are you getting to grow your market if your market, if you won't make concessions? Like, there has to be, from both positions, there has to be, Xbox is going, right, we want Steam on Xbox. And Steam's like, actually, that makes sense. Obviously, you're not going to do this for free, so what are you wanting us to do so we can grow our market here as well and get sales through here if they don't go through yourselves? Or, well, we want X. There has to be a concession. And, of course, it will work out in Steam's favour, because if Steam Summer Sales on, for instance, then you get significantly lower sales, costs on Steam than you do on Xbox or PlayStation in some circumstances. They have far more sales on all the time. They've got sales on pretty much every other day. And the market is significantly bigger, and it's monitored by Steam. So I think it is a case of just concessions will be made. And again, the benefit for Steam here is they're growing their market. That's their benefit. So a small slice of that going to Xbox, I don't think they really care about.
Yeah. I mean, could definitely be. I think, honestly, the business model will rely on laziness of gamers. Because when I look at the ROG Xbox Series X, how is it working there, right? The thing is running full Windows, but it boots up in the full screen experience, so you're not seeing the desktop when you boot it up and anything. And you can have, through that Xbox interface, access to your Steam games. But you cannot buy them through that interface. For that, you still have to boot into the desktop mode, open the Steam app, go to the Steam store, buy it there, and then it would appear in your Xbox app, and you can only basically directly access the games that you already do own and install them from there, but you cannot buy through that app. And I think, honestly, obviously, some of the more hardcore gamers out there, they are willing to do that and go on, I don't know, the PC into the Steam store and buy the games there. But most people would just click buy here, and then they would buy it through the Xbox PC app store, right? I think that this is basically it's a gamble, obviously. Yeah. You can still argue, well, this is so convenient because you can play everything, you have everything on there, right? But if you want to buy, you have to go through some hoops. It's not a big deal, I know. But probably a lot of, especially the more casual gaming market, would just click on, well, buy here and be done with it, right? So maybe that's the bet that they are putting this whole idea on, that a lot of people will not bother to move to different storefronts because it's so conveniently right in front and center of them. But it is an option for those who are willing to do that. We shall find out, dude. I still think this whole idea sounds too good to be true. There has to be some catch. Having like a super powerful console that plays all games from Steam, from Epic, good old games, and of course the Xbox storefront. This just sounds too good to be true. And there might be a catch, but I think Xbox kind of needs to change things up, right? They have exited basically this whole idea of a locked console ecosystem. They've done that many years ago now, right? Like 11, 12 years ago when Buy Anywhere or Play Anywhere was introduced with Quantum Break, right? That was the first game that came out day and date on PC. You bought the game and you got the other version regardless. So this whole Play Anywhere thing isn't really new. But they've taken it to the next level with bringing games to Switch, with bringing games to PlayStation, right? And so they kind of have to do something new, especially if you look at their sales numbers and fiscal numbers. I mean, just last week, and since we missed last week's podcast, that we haven't talked about this yet, yeah. The fiscal year Q2 of 26 came out, and well, the Xbox total revenue declined 9% year over year, right? Xbox content and services revenue decreased 5%. And the hardware decline was 32% year over year. And especially the hardware sales obviously have gone down for the last 2 years. Every quarter we talk about it, right? Hardware sales down, sometimes 20, sometimes 30% year over year, but it's a complete decline. And I can't really say I'm surprised, right, with the messaging.
They're just not advertising, like they just completely give up advertising the console.
Yeah, absolutely.
They just said essentially, you can see when they kind of pivoted towards, okay, this is our next plan, because they just went, right, okay, that generation's clearly done now. It is done. Yes, we're only like midway through what would technically be a generation, but we have to just draw a line in the sand here and just admit defeat, essentially, is what they've done.
Yeah.
So saying, it's done. So let's just stop wasting money on advertising the console, continue to advertise Game Pass and things like that, because that's still a moneymaker-ish.
Yeah.
But let's just forget about the console itself.
Yeah. So I'm not really surprised about the console decline, right? But the overall Xbox revenue decreased, the content and services revenue decreased. And I mean, of course, we are looking at the quarter October, November, December, right? And, well, what did they have during this time? The big game was Call of Duty. And let's face it, last year's Call of Duty was just shit. It wasn't. Yeah. I'm not a big Call of Duty guy, but I usually do enjoy and play the campaigns, right? It's like I always say the Call of Duty campaigns are the Michael Bay movie of games, right? It's just big boom. It's action, it's cool set pieces, and after 5-6 brainless hours that you do enjoy somehow, right? You're done with it. That's how I play Call of Duty. But this last year, I couldn't be bothered to finish the campaign. I stopped playing after 2 hours, and I thought, just, that's not it, right? That's absolutely, and it was a failure, right? Sales wise as well, player numbers wise as well. I also think it didn't help that Battlefield 6 was really good last year, even though that as well dropped down in player numbers pretty quickly, but they sold at least a lot of copies for a Battlefield game, right? So yeah, that, and then they had Outer Worlds 2, which also wasn't really a success. We're getting into that a little later when we talk about Obsidian and their big interview this week. But so because of that, they've done the multi-platform strategy, right, to increase the maximum revenue. But at the same time, of course, they are seeing a decline of people that are willing to invest into their ecosystem. They also had the big price hike of Gamepass subscribers. Yeah. Of the Gamepass price, right? That was probably not helpful as well. But I'm not sure if, and you and I, we both have been very critical about this whole idea of not having exclusives anymore and bringing everything to every platform. Not for the short term, but for the long term thing. And now, about 2 years after they've started this whole, well, let's bring our games to everything, the content revenue is also not really, is actually declining as well. Now, I'm not really saying, well, it is 100% related to that, because again, if Call of Duty would have been good, these numbers would have definitely been different, because that's the biggest, well, revenue driver for them in the Q4, in the fourth quarter. But I'm also not 100% sure if it pays out, because yeah, you could argue, well, people are now buying games like, I don't know, Forza Horizon on PlayStation, and of course that makes you money. But at the same time, are people really going to continue to invest into the current business model of them? Because they haven't moved over the business model to this truly multi-platform strategy. They haven't done that yet. The next gen console isn't out yet. They are still making money of people buying games on the Xbox console. But with everyone knowing now, they are going full Windows anyway, so I'm just stopping to build my Xbox library, and I'm going to start to build my library on Steam instead. Right?
Yeah.
Or on PlayStation. And I just buy my Xbox games now on PlayStation. With that kind of mindset, I'm not sure if they should have waited with the multi-platform strategy until they have the business model right for that, right? And you don't have that with the current Xbox console. It's just bullshit. So yeah, I'm just. Why did I explain this so extensively, Dutch? We know how Microsoft is.
Yeah.
Not Xbox, but Microsoft.
Microsoft, yeah.
Yeah. If every other business unit of Microsoft went up in revenue, right? Windows division increased their revenue, the AI stuff, the cloud stuff, everything increased. But the Xbox division declined. Overall, hardware, software-wise, everything declined. What's the consequence of a Satya and an Amy Hood and so on? I'm not happy about that, man, because we've seen how they act, right? Perfect Dark got cancelled, Everwild and Rare shut down, and every shutdown of studios and everything. Don't want that to continue, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit too skeptical here, but I talked for a long time, Dutch. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think as I summarized earlier, it's the strategy, Xbox's strategy, and all fair. We've seen it. We've been talking about it for a long time.
Yeah.
They clearly feel like they're not capable of competing in the console market as it was, going head to head against what is essentially a household brand in PlayStation.
Yeah,
We've spoke about this before, but if you mention consoles and things all the time to people, 99 times out of 100, people will talk, oh, so do you want like a PlayStation? Or what, like a Nintendo?
Yeah.
Xbox is barely ever kind of mentioned in the breadth of like gaming, especially if you talk to the older generation. And the newer generation, vast majority have a PlayStation, not an Xbox. And it's always been kind of the household brand name. So Xbox kind of just, I think they've just kind of realized, listen, we are not going to compete in the console market the way it was. So we need to go in a different direction. We need to do our own thing. We need to just completely disregard what the console market was and focus on putting out software first and foremost on every platform. And secondarily, if we do produce hardware, that hardware is going to be something that's essentially multi-platform, which allows us to get many other different people on board on our platform with multiple marketplaces. And it's the hardware you invest in to play everything, but it makes it easier easier and cheaper than buying a PC, which is also a big marketplace.
Yeah,
so it's
definitely.
kind of a my first gaming PC route that they're going down here.
Yeah.
Because ultimately that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a simplified version of a gaming PC.
Absolutely.
Which has access to multiple gaming storefronts. When you have a look at the comparison on a half decent gaming PC these days, that would get you 4K 60 or even 4K at all. You're talking minimum 1,500, $2,000.
Yeah.
Minimum to get anywhere close to that, and that's not even 4K.
Yeah.
And by 4K, I mean actually pushing out 4,000 pixels, because there's all well and good kind of up-resing and things like that, but that takes significant resources on PC in order to output 4K. It's not like every card has the capability of doing it, because it takes up a lot of power. So yeah, it's a significant. Like I say, it's my first PC is essentially what Xbox are doing. So we'll see how it goes. Essentially it's another gamble from Xbox, is what it is. It's another gamble. Let's see how this one works out.
Absolutely, it is a gamble. I mean, we shall find out probably around the June showcase. The interesting thing is, though, that there's been a lot of talk about Xbox actually having something hardware related this year as well, in the sense of a third-party console, similar to what we got with the ROG Xbox LEX, right? As a handheld, just as a console device, something that runs Xbox full screen experience on Windows from a third-party OEM coming this year as well. I mean, that's something a lot of people have been putting out there, right? Guys like Jess Corden talked about that a lot, that this is going to happen towards the end of this year. that we are seeing this. And I do understand that strategy of Xbox, because they failed to compete in the traditional console market, right? If the Xbox, I mean, just this day, today, it was announced that PlayStation 5 shipped 97 point something million units already, right? So they are closing in on 100 million. Definitely towards the end of this year. If Xbox would be in the ballpark of 100 million consoles out there, their strategy probably would be very different, right?
Oh yeah, we just continue making consoles. It wouldn't even think about going into PC now.
Exactly.
And exclusivity would still exist.
Yeah, exactly. And exclusivity would still exist. They are not going to get there. That ship has sailed. And I think Phil many years ago nailed already the reason, because people have built up their libraries. It's getting harder and harder to move people over. If you're a PlayStation player and you have been for a decade or so, and you now have, I don't know, hundreds of games in your library, you're not just going to abandon those games, this library, and say, oh, because they have a Fable now, I'm going to move over. And most people out there are not willing to invest into a second console, like you and I, and probably a lot of our hardcore fans here do have multiple systems, right? We have the Switch, we have the PlayStation, we have the Xbox, we have a PC, and we play on everything. But that's not what the normies do, and most people don't do. And if you have built up your library on PlayStation, if you have built your library on Steam, if you have built your library on a Switch, even the Switch is now backward compatible and has a proper digital library for people available. You're not going to abandon that. Not for a couple of good games on a system. And so it's near to impossible for them to compete in the classic traditional console market. And they could have, if they would have released better games, more games 5-10 years ago. But now I think it's the only option that they have, right? To build up an ecosystem that is attractive, not a single device. Pardon. And so the third-party approach that is heavily rumored for this year is the only logical next step. Although I find the timing really weird. But I think it has to do with the Steam machine. They are afraid of the Steam machine, man. Because the Steam machine, even though I don't think it's going to do that well, but it's my personal opinion, I think Xbox, Microsoft is kind of afraid of that. Because it would really, if the Steam machine comes out and performs pretty good, runs games pretty good, and is fairly okay in the price, this is a real option for people to just have a console-like experience, but being on Steam. And Microsoft is completely left out of this game, right? They have to publish their games on Steam because PC gaming is Steam. So they cannot release Fable, for instance, only in their Xbox PC app. It's set up for failure if they would do that. So they have to release it on Steam. But if Steam is actually now also conquering the console space, it makes sense for them. And them not having the console ready till the end of next year, because we all know Lisa Su confirmed 27, and I can tell you it's November 27 when this thing comes out. Every console has always released in November. So it's going to be November 27 when the next Xbox comes out, and that's too late. But then to launch now a third-party console that is kind of branded and partnered, similar to the ROG Xbox LE, right?
Yeah.
That runs the full screen experience and does the exact same thing like the ROG Xbox LE does, but it is from, I don't know, Asus or Lenovo or whoever will make it, right? I kind of understand that, but at the same time, realistically, am I going to get it? I do have the LE. I can plug that thing as well on my TV if I want to, and I'm just waiting another year to have the actual Xbox console, right? So it's kind of weird. Do you think it makes sense to have a third-party console this year?
No, being honest, I don't see why it would be.
Steam Machine.
I don't see why.
Again, I think Xbox is really looking at now more towards Steam than PlayStation. That's a bigger competitor for them.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, especially if they want to move their console ecosystem towards PC and have that offering. Why would people still be invested in the Xbox ecosystem if they could just build up their library on Steam, which would then also be available on their console next year? It's kind of difficult. I'm not sure how this will turn out, but I think they are afraid of it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think a little bit. I think it depends on the problem the Steam machine has had. Is it's kind of looking at its Steam Deck and thinking, okay, right, this market's going to do well because our Steam Deck's been relatively successful, so we'll put it out. But they tried the Steam machine thing in the past, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
They also tried going into the third-party route of everyone create a Steam machine, and that didn't work.
That's true. Steam Machine has gotten delayed, by the way. Did you see that?
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah. It was to come out early 26. Yeah, I mean, it's now early 26, right? We are already in February. So that window of what is considered early 26 is closing. We still don't know the price. We still don't know the exact date when it comes out. And this week they've announced to delay it. It's still coming out this year, though. But they've openly admitted that, of course, the whole RAM situation, is the reason. They've said, we are still targeting a release in the first half of 26. But they also acknowledged that the memory and SSD shortages are causing the delay. They've said our goal of shipping all three products. Remember, they also announced the headset and everything. Yeah, so our goal of shipping all three products in the first half of the year has not changed, but we have work to do and land on concrete pricing and launch dates that we can confidently announce. So for them, this whole RAM situation right now is also challenging, and the success of a Steam machine lives and dies with its price, right? This has to be a consumer-friendly price for it being successful. Similar with what they did with the Steam Deck, right? When the Steam Deck came out, it was around $500 in the lowest version, which is still a price that is consumer friendly. If you're talking more towards, like, for the Steam machine, 1,000 plus, you're not looking for that casual experience. And the non-casuals, they do have PCs, actual PCs, right? So Steam machine is gonna be really interesting. Still targeting first half, but I guess they will not be able to meet a consumer-friendly price.
No, definitely not. I'm not expecting anything that's basing itself on PC to be anywhere near consumer-friendly pricing.
Yeah. That's just a harsh reality with all the RAM prices and everything, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we shall find out. But coming back to Xbox real quick. Oh, hang on. Garim in the chat says, I really hope that they will nail the Steam machine, but it will be hard to match a good price comparing against PCs. I agree. That's the thing. If they could launch that at, well, 500 is probably unrealistic, but let's say 600, right? This could really, people that do play on PC, that do have the libraries on Steam, but want to have a convenient way to access it in the living room or so, just say, okay, come on, I'm gonna invest the $600, and I know my, I don't know, 5080 in my gaming rig runs that game better, but I do have the convenience of just sitting in the living room on the couch and take the controller and just play games. That kind of convenience definitely could push people towards that system, right? But not if you are in the ballpark of $1,000. And so nailing price is gonna be the big challenge here.
Yeah, I agree.
By the way, coming back to Xbox real quick and their next gen plans. We always talk about this. Well, it is the next Xbox will have Windows, and it is basically a PC, so that it can also run all the other storefronts like Steam. But nothing of that has officially been confirmed in any way, shape, or form. And that changed this week, and this time it actually came from Epic. Epic actually talked this week about them wanting to bring the Epic Games Store to the next gen Xbox. They talked about, okay, we have seen actually a serious growth over the last months on their storefront. I don't know how or why, but apparently the storefront is growing. So they've been talking about that they want to bring that to Microsoft. So they've said, we've been talking to the folks at Microsoft, and they said the Xbox full screen experience optimized Epic Games Store is not in our schedule right now. We do need to build for it. It probably won't happen this year, but next year. So yeah, Epic is also preparing for that, right? For that next gen Xbox, and actually confirming that they are going to bring that storefront natively to the ecosystem, and which is a good thing, right? Because I talked about this earlier. When you do access that now on the ROG Xbox LEX, it's kind of a hassle because you always have to open up the storefront properly to install or buy games. And then you can easily exit it through the full screen experience. So if they implement that in that storefront properly into that ecosystem, that is definitely a good thing. Steam should do the same. Especially if you want to go for prime time and have that kind of ecosystem on a console, right? So Dutch, what are your thoughts on this announcement from Epic?
I mean, it's kind of to be it's really good, and again, I think we mentioned this off air. I hope if that is the case, that we still get are free Epic games, like we do on PC.
It's the only reason people are using the Epic Store,
That's
right?
literally the only reason I have it installed.
Yeah, free games, man.
Yeah, free games, free games. I got a pop up again before. I think so many people have tried to add me on Epic, and I don't know what. Like, it must be because of things on Xbox or something. But for so far, I have, and I haven't even been using it that long. I've just seen a couple pick up. Total War: Three Kingdoms, Hogwarts Legacy, Styx: Shadow of Darkness, Master of Shadows, Borderlands 2, Borderlands pre-sequel, Tales of Borderlands, Death's Door, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ghostwire, Fortnite. All of those I did not pay for, but I have them. So sometimes they do really good free games, and sometimes they're really terrible free games, but free games. So
Yeah.
so it's worth it just for that. So hopefully they bring the marketplace to that, and you don't have to pay for it. So I can get some games.
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah. I just found that interesting that even though nothing official so far from Xbox or anyone has been confirmed about this whole idea that the next Xbox actually runs the third-party stores, and now Epic comes along and just saying, yeah, we're in talks with Xbox, not happening this year, but next year, is basically a kind of a confirmation, right? That this is really the route Xbox is going for. And yeah, we've talked about this now long enough, but it does sound too good to be true, honestly, to have just everything on your console. So what's PlayStation doing, man? Because over the last couple of days, there's been a lot of talk about when is the next PlayStation coming.
Yeah.
And a lot of different leaks happened suggesting that it has also internally been delayed again, or is targeting more towards the end of the decade, 29, maybe 2030. And I find those discussions actually to be confusing a little bit, because that I remember about 2 years ago already, Sony talked about this. It was around the time when they announced the PS5 Pro, that they expect the lifetime of this gen to be even longer than the PS5, and if you the PS4, and if you remember the PS4, 8 years. So PS5 came out in 2020. 8 years makes 28. If it's longer, it's at least 29, right? That's what they already confirmed about 1.5, 2 years ago when they announced the PS5 Pro. And that's the reason also why they did a mid-gen upgrade. Yeah, so they can have that long kind of generation. So everything, and now with the RAM situation and everything, it kind of looks like PlayStation is targeting more, let's say, a 29, for the sake of argument, 29, maybe 2030 release. What do you think, man? Is this going to happen if Xbox comes out next year with their system?
Oh yeah, I don't think PlayStation are really concerned about anything that Xbox do.
Yeah.
To put it brutally honest, I don't think PlayStation care what Xbox do, because they are completely, like as you mentioned with the figures, the sales figures for the console, they are so far ahead on the hardware market, and the word of mouth and the mind share when it comes to PlayStation. It really doesn't matter if they're released right next to the Xbox or 2 years after Xbox. It doesn't matter. I think to them, they already know, right, Xbox we don't really have to care about anymore because they're doing some weird PC hybrid-y thing.
I'm not sure.
We're not.
I'm not sure, because the only time that when Xbox was actually really able to compete with PlayStation was the one generation where Xbox launched early, and it was the 360. The 360 came out a year before the PlayStation 6.
To counter that, though, that was still a console.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It is hard to compare, and it is also like 15 years. It was longer, 20 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and things have changed in the last 20 years. Yeah. But that was the last.
And other than that, Xbox were very lucky that the Red Ring of Death didn't cripple them during that. They still lost a significant amount of sales and customers because of ROD. And PlayStation ended up overtaking Xbox anyway in sales numbers that generation.
Yeah. But there are still a lot of similarities. Listen.
And then we know what happened the year after.
Yeah.
Or the generation after.
Exactly. That is what I was about to get to. But there are a lot of similarities if you look at it. I know it's always not 100% the same, but there are certain similarities. 360 came out a year early. They had games to support that. That was the last console that they launched where they actually had games ready at launch to support that launch.
Yeah.
The Xbox One, well, they had Rise, but that's about it. Right? We all remember all too well how the launch of the Series X went, where they had nothing. Halo wasn't ready. Yeah, and in the first year of the console, they really didn't have any games really ready. So they had games ready. Xbox gonna have games ready next year, right? To support that launch. Whether it's State of Decay and maybe a Clockwork or the Blade game or Halo, the next Halo or something. They will have games. They launch early. They have the better value proposition because, well, that also helped Xbox a lot. Not just to come early, but what was the price? I think, was it $700 or $800? That the PS6 cost, right? They had the value proposition there on their side. The Xbox was just cheaper.
Oh, you mean the PS3, sorry.
Pardon, yeah, what did I say? Yeah.
PS6?
The PS3, of course, right?
Yeah, it was more expensive, yeah. And get a second job was, I think, one of the quotes.
Exactly. And PlayStation didn't have games, right? And now, I'm not saying that the next Xbox is cheaper than potentially PS6 because they've already said, well, this is going to be an expensive one. But the value proposition itself, you're getting a lot of bang for the buck. You're getting a great ecosystem that is customer friendly. It will cost you less. Everyone knows if they are going full Windows, they kind of have to ditch the pay for online multiplayer, right? So that also factors in cost, right? You could buy cheaper games on Steam now on the Xbox. Games are cheaper because Steam games are cheaper, typically $10 or so cheaper than a console game, right? So the value proposition itself is there. The games are there. And then you look at Sony. They come out, whether it's 28 or 29, right? They come out later. They don't have the first-party content to support it. Because we all know that the pipeline of PlayStation is bare try. They are putting up a very different value proposition. So I'm not sure if, coming back to your statement, that Sony doesn't care. I think it's fairly well. it's a similar situation than with the 360, and that was the only generation where Xbox kind of became dangerous for them. Xbox screwed the Xbox One up, obviously, right? Worse value proposition. Console was more expensive because they bundled in Kinect, right? They didn't have the first party content to support it the same way. So,
Yeah.
Oh, OBS just disconnected. There was. I hope we are back online. There was just a hiccup on OBS. OBS
Oh, yeah, it usually
briefly.
gives you a little buffer time frame.
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
seen anything on there. I'm watching it as well. I haven't seen anything disconnect on here.
Yeah. Well, we have a little delay there as well. So sorry, there was a real quick hiccup. OBS briefly disconnected for 2-3 seconds. We should be good now again. Anyway, what was I about to say? This idea of the consoles launching head-to-head is not helping anyone. That's why Nintendo went out of that race. Nintendo also used to launch their consoles, head-to-head with the others. They kind of stopped that with the Wii.
Yep.
Yeah. But until that point, they always try to launch that head-to-head. But I think it's better for customers. Customers are more willing to buy multiple systems if they are spread apart. So I think Sony is definitely looking at them, but they are asking themselves the questions: do we have to come head-to-head? Because, well, with the PS4 and PS5, that was really good for us. But now Xbox is in a very different spot. They offer something very different, free online multiplayer. All storefronts, Epic. And the big one, Steam as well, right? They offer this flexibility. And so they might just come to the same conclusion. Hey, if we launch 2 years later, 29, right? People will have already bought an Xbox, and then our system can shine, and people actually have the money for that. Yeah, to buy ours as well. So yeah, I think it's better for us gamers to not have that. All the consoles come out the same year, or actually within 2 weeks, right? And I think it could behoove PlayStation as well as Microsoft, yeah. But it would be very interesting to see Xbox coming out with in 27 with a new console, and PlayStation not having anything for 2 years. It would just change things up, man. And I love that. Oh, but what are your thoughts, dude?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I think you're right in that sense. There's not many other markets left where competing console manufacturers launch in the same time period. Apple doesn't do it with Samsung.
Mm.
And they're both hyper successful in their own categories. Like, as much as people kind of have this ongoing banter between Samsung and iPhone, they are the kings in mobile phone market. Like, there's very few people. Yes, you've still got Google and Google Pixel, and they do well as well. But the vast majority, when you talk about the kings of Android and the kings of iOS, you know that's the iPhone and Samsung. Like, there is no in between. And they don't launch at the same time. They always go off their own hymn book. They always do their own thing. Yes, they mock each other. They're still fiercely competitive on who does what. And when one launches one product, the next one's always thinking, right, okay, so they had that this time around, so we'll do that next time around. And we'll try to refine it and do it our own way and try and do it better. And that's the way it should be. So I think when you're having consoles launching right together, the issue you have there is they're just kind of going off industry hearsay. Okay, what do you think Xbox is doing this gen? Do you think they're doing this? AMD said they're doing this with them, but they won't tell us, of course, due to NDAs, exactly what they're planning. So we can't know what they're doing. We can just kind of hypothesize as to what Xbox is doing. However, when you take that away and you've got a platform holder releasing their console, and then a year or two later, you've already got potentially almost complete on plans to start doing something else or start doing another console, then you've got the ability then to go, right, okay, so this is what they've launched 2 years ago. How do we now change our plan for this console that's going in 2 years' time? How can we add to this to make it even better? And so on and so forth. So then you have two entirely separate things, but still trying to compete in different markets. So there is a different way of looking at it in that sense. Like I say, there isn't any other technological market where they all try to do things at the same time or release at the same time. Doesn't make sense to. It's a flooded market in that sense.
Yeah. And honestly, it would make the console market so much more interesting. Because if they have a 2-year gap, or at least a 1-year gap, we would also talk about probably different performance levels for the price point, right? Different value propositions with a classic traditional console, which assumingly or most likely will be the PS6, right? And a more PC-like experience, an open experience, but easy to use. Make PC gaming easy access and convenient for the living room with Xbox. It's gonna shake things up, and it will make things a lot more interesting. So I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it. We shall find out. Let's stick with Xbox real quick, but let's talk about Obsidian. Obsidian had an interesting interview this week with Bloomberg, where they talked about their 2025. And obviously, Obsidian had a big 25, right? They had 3 games launching that year with Avowed, Grounded 2, and Outer Worlds 2. But a lot of things didn't go as they planned. So they were very open. They talked about that Outer Worlds 2 and Avowed failed to meet sales expectations. Grounded 2, on the other hand, was considered a big success. Yeah.
Yep.
Josh Sawyer also said that launching 3 games in the same year wasn't ideal, but rather the result of internal planning issues. Yeah. Kind of openly admitted that. Respect for that. That Obsidian's plan for the next couple of years is to work on bigger projects and smaller projects, completely new games. They are not going to make an Outer Worlds 3, but they want to keep doing experimental games such as Grounded or Pentiment, which were both considered successful and profitable. And they want to keep making games in the Avowed Pillars of Eternity universe, right? But they are not going to do an Outer Worlds 3. And Microsoft themselves underlined the importance of the studio. They said Obsidian develops games that are central to our vision of reaching more players than ever before. Obsidian demonstrates the creative excellence and range that continues to strengthen Xbox portfolio. But still, they were pretty open about Avowed and Outer Worlds 2 not being a big success, Outer Worlds 3 not happening, and they will do in games in Eora, in the world of Eora, where the Pillars of Eternity games and obviously Avowed played, right? As well as smaller games. So what are your thoughts, Dutch, when you hear and read this?
I mean, my initial thoughts are, in terms of sales expectations, when they're pushing Game Pass, as they always have, I don't know what they expect to happen with the game sales.
Yeah, that's the thing about expectations, right? What were the expectations?
What was the real expectations? Like, was it that they expected them to sell better on other platforms and they didn't? Was it
Well, Avowed didn't come out on other platforms. I mean, and since Game Pass really is new, right? We have had Game Pass now for 9 years, I want to say.
Yeah.
2017, right? It's not new. They must have known what to expect when you launch a first-party game day and date in Game Pass, and not on other consoles, right? So that's the thing. Was it unrealistic expectations, or was it just not really performing that well?
I think probably a handful of both.
Mm-hmm.
A handful of both, and I think you have to. They have to take into account just the generalized economy, like, and it's not just me. If you have a look across the world in general, economy-wise, inflation's still high. Like in terms of people spending at the moment across the world, it is significantly lower than it was, and they're struggling to kind of make things or balancing things so the markets restore themselves. Just across the board, I think spending is generalized down. Like, I can't personally, and I don't know whether or not it's just because I'm tired and I'm working all the time and things like that, but I'm not as focused on buying video games right now as I was last year or the year before. Like, my priorities are elsewhere. As much as I love video games, like, there's so many games released now, and I mean so many games, to expect every game to be a hit financially. Never mind where it is critically. Critically, the games did well.
Yeah.
The games were
critically well received.
Yeah, above average or good or excellent. They're critically well received games, so they're not bad games. I think they just need to rein in their expectations about sales numbers, and I think this goes for PlayStation as well, because I think the days of, outside of Nintendo, the days of 20 odd 30 million selling games is gone for the big AAA sellers. And let's ignore GTA. Let's ignore GTA, because that's going to be a mammoth regardless.
I agree. I agree, but I don't consider Avowed and Outer Worlds 2 those big AAA games. Listen, I loved Avowed. Really, really did. Nothing against the game, but it's not a AAA blockbuster game.
Of course, yeah.
Right? And I think Outer Worlds 2... It was weird with Outer Worlds 2 because I absolutely loved the first game. And Outer Worlds 2 improved upon basically everything. Yeah, the gunplay felt a lot better, the progression.
Yeah.
And damn
again,
it, we have an OBS interruption. Damn it, another OBS hiccup. What's going on here today?
It's
OBS.
Still okay on my end.
OBS, yeah, but there's always a delay on YouTube. Damn it.
No, I can still see you saying OBS on YouTube.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, I don't. It's. I agree on Outer Worlds 2. I played the opening hour and a half, 2 hours or something, and it just. I wasn't in the head frame to play it at that time as well, but also, I loved Outer Worlds 1, and I didn't immediately go, oh yeah, fantastic, I want to do this and play this game. I don't know, I just didn't have the same hype for it by the time it eventually released. It was weird. You're muted.
Yeah, I can't really put the finger on why that was.
I can't put the finger on it either. I have no idea. I can't put my finger on it. It's very strange. Like I say, and I can't say the same for Avowed, because I absolutely adored Avowed. I absolutely loved it.
Couldn't put the controller down when I was playing that.
And that was because to me it felt, and again I was saying this before Avowed released, though, I was really in the mood at that point for a Skyrim light, something that reminded me of Skyrim and Oblivion.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit different, and it provided exactly that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I wanted, and I absolutely adored that game. And there's a couple of little achievements I want to go back and get, just because I love the game and I want to go and do it. Like, just how different things pan out, and how you want to do this guy instead of this guy, and how this happens instead of this. And just to see what the different circumstances are, and I know they're adding more to it as well, so... it's going to be... Yeah, it is just weird. It's a shame that Avowed didn't hit it critically, but again, it goes down to what their expectations are.
Yeah.
I did not expect either of those games to move the needle when it came to sales.
Yeah.
Not because they're not good games, but because there's so many other games out there, and they don't do anything that is like pushing the narrative or pushing the genre forward, or there's nothing that they do that hasn't been done.
It's this little step that maybe in Outer Worlds could have needed to really become a blockbuster title. You know, this one level up thing. And then, of course, it released in a very difficult time frame. Came out in the middle of the holiday season, where you have back-to-back blockbuster releases, right? Avowed came out at a good time, so I'm really surprised that that didn't really perform. But again, yeah, maybe it's one of those games that people just play through Gamepass, and people that are not subscribed to Gamepass, probably the less hardcore gamers, are just not interested.
It's not going to be one that they go out and buy.
Yeah, exactly. Not if you could buy at the same time, I don't know, a game like Kingdom Come and Mafia and all the other games that came around in that ballpark, right? So,
I wanted to slightly change topics here, but I don't know whether or not you've seen this, but Guerrilla Games announced a Horizon new game.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Horizon Hunter Gathering.
Yeah.
Hunter's Gathering. A co-op action game that up to 3 players team as heroic hunters to protect the world under threat from deadly machines, coming to PlayStation 5 and PC.
Yeah. I've seen that. Will be dead on arrival. It's one of those MOBA, not MOBA, but service kind of games that don't have the real push to become a success. It was kind of if this would be a big thing, Dutch, they would have made a big fuss about
I hope
it.
That wasn't the Horizon online game that we're talking about.
No, it's not the mobile thing. No, it's not that.
I hope that wasn't a big MMO thing that they were talking about.
No. Do big announcement, right? It is more like a tweet. Oh, it's coming.
Yeah.
I can't see that game being a success. I just can't.
Nope, I agree.
But you know what got leaked this week, and I've not seen anyone talk about this. Jedi 3 got leaked. Not the name, the full name, but the successor to Jedi Survivor and what was the other one called? I'm blanking. Anyway, Jedi 3 leaked with a potential
Outlaws.
No, Outlaws was the Ubisoft one. Jedi Survivor and Jedi
Fallen. No.
Fallen. Right, Fallen. Something with
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order. Yeah, exactly. So, that is the successor, the third game to that. Apparently, with a potential release of the still in first half this year, which I found a little odd, because then I would have said, okay, if you first half this year, you should have announced it by now. But anyway, this is what got leaked, Dutch. Quite an extensive leak. It's going to be significantly larger, featuring multiple new planets with unique biomes, an advanced traversal system, and an environmental storytelling. It shifts from linear levels to expansive galactic hubs for a more immersive exploration experience. The narrative tone is darker, more mature story, which would make sense, right? Because he's grown up by now. And it's focusing on practical consequences and high-stake drama. without lighter elements. It involves new faction system with philosophical ties to the Force, diverging from the traditional Empire-focused conflicts, right? We will have expanded Force abilities to go beyond basic telekinesis, including environmental manipulation and perception of altering powers. The combat becomes more heavy and more reactive with adaptive enemy AI that responds to player strategies. So that the player needs to kind of use varied tactics instead of repetitive combos like in the previous games, right? Take this all with a grain of salt, but the 26th release aligns with the EA pattern and the Respawn team growing and the feedback from Jedi Survivor on pacing and mechanics, right? So take it with a grain of salt, obviously, but it also kind of... I'm always, when like leaks like that happen and they are so in depth and in detail, there's usually something to it, because the made up leaks, right? The dude trust me bro sources, they usually don't have that kind of detailed information. However, again, we still have to be cautious with these kind of leaks. But what do you think, man?
Yeah, definitely be cautious with it. I mean, I'm looking forward. I loved the first two Jedi games, and the first one was fantastic. The second one improved on everything that the first one did. All I can hope for is that the third one exceeds again. What that one did.
I would absolutely love for this leak to be true. I absolutely enjoyed the first games. I thought they were one of the best Star Wars games out there. Great story, great combat. I really enjoyed that. The challenge the combat also proposed. Like, it's not like a Souls game, but it's also not like just press the X button, right? They put up a good challenge that is not too hard, but so it becomes frustrating, but also not like super easy and simple. The storyline was great. The characters were great. So I'm all for it, man. Luke in the chat says, good games, but absolutely dreadful PC ports.
Yeah, I remember his valid complaints at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Dutch, if it's true, and it is a first half 26 game, I think then we should see it fairly soon, right? Because the year is in full swing. We already have February. A game like that needs a little marketing time. So I guess we'll find out in the next couple of weeks or months if this is actually true. But Dutch, let us get to the community questions of this week.
Yes.
Each and every Wednesday, you guys can write in questions, topics, or basically anything you would like us to discuss. We usually put up posts on the social channels, of course, here on YouTube, on Twitter, and so on, or X. I'm still calling it Twitter, man. It'll be Twitter forever for me. But anyway, we don't lock it behind a paywall, so everyone can write in. And the first question of this week comes in from, and I actually included the questions that we collected for our podcast that we wanted to do last Sunday as well. So the big bridge writes in and says, Hey, Boxy and Dutch. Hope you guys are doing well. If you had 3 separate dates with 3 different video game characters on Valentine's Day, who would they be and where would you host it? 3, man.
Panam.
Good one. Since I'm playing Final Fantasy at the moment, I
Triss.
Definitely Triss. Triss, yeah. Not Jennifer, man. I'm Team Triss. And Tifa. Yeah. I can absolutely agree there.
Where would I take them? I mean, they're all bruisers, so I don't know. God knows. I don't know.
I can't think of a place either. Where would you take a Triss or a Tifa for Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah, or Panam for that matter.
I mean, no spoilers, but Cloud was very successful when he went to the wheel thing. What's that called in English?
Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
Is that we just take them on a Ferris wheel? That's the one. There we go.
Yeah. So, all right. But we got that. Mambo Chess writes in, besides each other, who would be your ideal podcast partner? That's a tough one.
Oh, I don't know, because we've had a lot of good podcast partners over the years, and obviously, unfortunately, life gets in the way, and we've lost a lot of them by the wayside. But no, we've had a lot of good podcast partners over the years.
We definitely had. I mean, it would need to be someone who isn't up for the drama, or just all about the drama. Someone who actually sticks to facts. And I mean, we always have a good time with Lord Cognito and King. Absolutely. ACG would also be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or Ains
also would be a great podcast partner, definitely. Yeah. Agree.
Yeah, I think those 4, to be fair, those 4 would always be perfect.
Absolutely.
And they all bring different things to it, and of course, King's all about exuberance and bringing the funny side of it, and Lord Cognito is always a little bit more centered and more, let's just say, grounded.
Yeah.
Not as flashy. But again, Ains is very knowledgeable.
Absolutely.
Same with ACG. ACG, again, though he loves the colourful language like us Europeans and British do.
Yeah.
He is also full of knowledge and facts through working and doing in the industry for a long time. So
absolutely. One of my favorite creators out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And his reviews are always spot on as well. Like he does everything as much as he can do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good question though. Let me shout out, and I'm a little afraid to butcher the name. Ulnis Bakies, did I pronounce that correctly? Who just became a channel member. Thank you so much for the support. And sorry for butchering your name, but welcome to the channel membership. Then we have Vizzle writing in. I wanted to hear what you guys think of the first half. Oh, by the way, he says, yeah, it's Dutch for chunk mail. Gotcha. Okay, Whistle writes in. Wanted to hear what you guys think of the first half of this year being kind of quiet as far as big game releases. I keep looking at the release schedule and it just feels really light compared to the last few years. Last year we got Oblivion, Kingdom Come and Expedition 33 by May.
I'm kind of glad.
No, I'm sorry, but I would disagree there. I thought
Personally, for me, I'm glad that it's relatively light at the moment because obviously my wallet can't take it.
I wouldn't consider it light, honestly. Let's look here at what comes out. We had just had the launch of Final Fantasy, right? But okay, granted, that's a 5-year-old game.
Yeah.
But then, so today, Dragon Quest VII. All right. Next week, High on Life and Resident Evil Requiem on February 27th. We will have replaced in March Crimson Desert, March, Marathon, March, Pragmata, April, Saros, April, 007, May, Lego Batman, May, Phantom Blade Zero, and so on. It's all first half, right? And that's just the stuff
I think it just boils down to taste and what
Yeah.
people would say is light or not light. I think obviously judging by the games that he kind of named there, they're kind of games that were up his alley.
Yeah.
And if, like me, you've already played Final Fantasy VII before and things like that, it's not like a rush to go and do it again.
Yeah,
It's
like I
it's
said,
out.
let's take Final Fantasy VII out of the of the equation, but then still you have a pretty packed first half. Forza, forgot that in that list. Forza Horizon 6.
Yeah. That's the only one I've pre-ordered.
Nah. I have Resident Evil, definitely. Crimson Desert. I haven't pre-ordered it yet, but I'm really excited for it.
Yeah.
I'm just a little concerned because a lot of people that have played it last year at Gamescom said great game and it delivers everything they promise, and if they deliver everything they promise, this is gonna be a banger of a game. But everyone complained about the controls. Super complex controls, very unintuitive controls. So I'm really hoping that they are
refine the controls by the time it releases. Yeah.
But if they do that and they deliver on what they've shown, this is one hell of a game. So
yeah, I mean, the only other one for me that I'm really going to jump on is Replaced because I've been waiting for it for so long.
Yeah, Replaced, but I'm going to play that through Gamepass. But definitely, I'm super excited for that. Then we have 007. Cannot wait for that. Right? Again, Forza Horizon 6 in there. It's a good first half. Granted, the second half looks even better with Fable and Gears of War and Halo and Tomb Raider, right? Blood of the Dawnwalker, Rise of Hydra is also set for this year, and Wolverine, and GTA, of course, yeah. So obviously, the second half looks even better, but don't think
the second half's massive.
The first half is light.
And obviously Take-Two reiterated again, it is definitely November. We've already got a marketing budget set and we've already got a marketing set for summer. We wouldn't spend all the money on the marketing if the game wasn't going to release.
Yeah.
And that was from the CEO.
Yeah.
Like it's set. It's 100% November 19th. It is not changing. So that's definitely coming out this year.
Definitely. Yeah, there has been a lot of talk about it might not even get a physical release at launch because they wanted to avoid spoilers and so on. But they've debunked that, and they've confirmed that the marketing campaign is going to start full swing this summer. We're gonna see more of the game and so on. So yeah, it's coming this year, man.
Yep.
The next question comes from Highlander Grimm. asking this: are you going to test Neo 3? He would like to hear our thoughts. Have a great rest of the week and have a great weekend. So, Neo 3, Dutch.
Yes. What about it?
No, the question was, are we playing it? Are we playing the demo?
No.
I've downloaded the demo. I haven't played it yet, but I definitely want to check it out. So, yeah, man. I'll probably talk about this next week then, when I actually had the chance to play it. Yeah. But yeah, I hear nothing but good things about Neo 3. So, definitely interested. And the demo is ready. Also carries over into the full game then. So, yeah. I will definitely play it probably over the weekend. Mambo Jazz writes in: is the lack of console war removing the passion for gaming? Some say podcasts are dying. That's an interesting one. So, while I think there were a lot of podcasts out there that, and still are, that heavily rely on the whole console war thing. And the console wars definitely have become less, with Xbox just saying, screw it all, right? It has become less. It's not gone. It's more like it shifted towards what's Xbox doing, but we kind of had that narrative as well for a very long time. I do think that, of course, some podcasts are affected by that. But I also feel like a lot of podcasts, actually similar like us, right, started during COVID.
Yeah.
A lot of people had more time, started to make content, started a podcast. And I feel like
then life returns to normal.
And then life returned to normal, and it became, I mean, we've noticed this as well, right? Actually, that's the main reason I stopped doing the edited videos, even though I really enjoyed doing them. It's so time consuming. It's something I want to get back to at some point, but it's super time consuming.
This is what I say about like streaming games and things like that, minute. Like, I love streaming games. The problem is I don't get enough time to even just play games, let alone stream games.
Yeah.
So when I do get a chance to play a game, it's like for an hour, maybe it's an hour and a half, 2 hours tops. And I just want to get in. If I am playing the game, play the game, and then turn it off, and then that's that. I don't have the time as much as I'd love to go back to streaming, and I hope I do at some point go back to streaming. I think you're touching it as well with the podcasts.
Yeah. And I've seen it with a lot of podcasts that have stopped doing their posts, and I don't think it's necessarily related to not having the console wars. But I think it's the combination of people getting back to normal lives after 2 years of COVID, right? That was one thing that we've seen. And I also feel it's not the lack of console wars, but it's also, and we've noticed this as well, that's why we sometimes skip a podcast in a week. There have been just less news in the gaming world. Right?
Substantial or interesting news.
Yeah. There have been many weeks over the last 6 months or so where you just were sitting there and put together the topics, and then was like, okay, all the news are, well, this game received an update, or an indie game came out, and that's really not the kind of topics that you can fill a meaningful podcast with. That's always when we decided to, okay, before we waste yours time, then let's just skip a week, because we always try to have meaningful conversations about stuff, right? And I think it's more that than the actual lack of console war that also a couple of people feel like maybe that removed a little bit the passion, because I know exactly what he means. I've seen it see it in the community. A lot of people have been less engaging on social channels and so on. I think it's a combination of multiple things there, right? It's the time, it's the money issue, it's the actual lack of exciting news. That's also why I hope that this is true, that the Xbox comes out with a new console, because a new console always next year, right? You've seen it around the time that the Ellie got fully revealed and released. It's always like new hardware always brings up more excitement. Also, of course, strikes up a lot of interesting conversations for content, to whether it's podcasts or videos or whatever. And I feel it's more that than the actual lack of console wars. Of course, there are certain creators that solely relied on console wars. I think for them it's getting harder and harder to justify their content. But it's more the lack of general news than the lack of console wars, if you would ask me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously it will have an effect, like you say, on certain. It didn't have an effect on us because we were never the console war type. For us, it was always the fight between the platforms to become number one, or what is this one doing? What is this one doing? And then again, it doesn't help that platform holders now, like PlayStation, are nowhere near as active as they used to be.
Yeah.
As much as and that's not trying to make fun of the platform. They're doing hyper successful again on the amount of consoles sold, but in terms of software, they've got absolutely nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about with PlayStation ever. Like in the past, we used to be saying, okay, PlayStation's releasing this, and this is this, and this, and this is announced, and this is announced, and this is the showcase here. And you just don't get the same hype for PlayStation now in terms of showcases, because they're not showcases. They're just like, oh, we'll just do this quick little reel thing here. Yeah. No one stands on stage. You don't get developers going, look at my nice new game, and bigging it up, or doing the grand reveals like they did with God of War 2016. That goes down in gaming history. Like, you don't get this enthusiasm from even the industry anymore. Like, the industry itself is nowhere near as enthusiastic about the industry as it was.
Yeah, I agree. And it's and I think that's the thing why podcasts are dying. And of course, obviously, we've also seen it in our numbers that we do. There has been a decline, and I know from a lot of other creators as well. But I don't
my
think
own podcast is testament to that.
Yeah.
The midweek mix-up is exactly the same thing, and it started off as a full panel. It ended up just being Boxy, and then it was me and Boxy co-streaming identical podcasts on two different channels.
Yeah,
and they got to a point where it was like, there's absolutely no need to be doing this anymore, because it's literally just the same thing on two channels.
Yeah.
And we don't have the time nor the enthusiasm to try and get loads of people on the show anymore. And you tend to find when you do try and get loads of people, there's always, and maybe it's no fault of their own, but ends up dropping you in it, and you end up just as the two people anyway.
Yeah.
Because the person can't make it last minute.
Yeah.
Or it's just one of those things. It's, again, I think the generalized enthusiasm and people's going back to their normal lives, or lives just getting too busy, as to why podcasts or gaming podcasts are kind of ebbing off quite significantly.
Yeah. Agree there. All right, Dutch. With that, let's wrap it up for this week. I want to say a big thank you to our awesome community. As always, it has been a blast. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who listens after the fact, either here on YouTube or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening. A big thank you. Dutch, before we let everyone out of here, anything you would like to get out?
No. Again, I'll see everybody back here again. Hopefully next week, if
Absolutely.
news allows us. Hopefully the slow and steady build up to summer will start to bring us some more news. So
Yes.
we shall see.
Yes, I think this year this is going to change. There's a lot of stuff coming together this year, right? There's new hardware coming with Steam. It's going to be interesting to see what Xbox is doing with the anniversary stuff. We will have we do already have the Activision Blizzard anniversary streams and so on. We have Bethesda's and a big anniversary. We will probably see the new Xbox revealed. We will get maybe third-party consoles this year. I think this year is gonna be different, yeah. PlayStation at least has, with Wolverine this year, a very good game in the pipeline. We will get something from them. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. So again, a big thank you for tuning in today. We hope to see you guys back next week. The weekend is near. Go play some games. There's some good stuff to play there. Until then, don't forget to game on.